welcome to Coffee with Guillem. Today's Coffee with Guillem with me. There's nobody else, so I'm still at home. Because I've set up a chat with Julien Laurens, who I admire. He works so hard and does everything so well. And we're going to talk about France. I know they're not playing until Monday. Today's Germany, Denmark, and Italy, Switzerland. But it's always a pleasure to chat to him, and that's what we're going to do. But first, I need a coffee. My favorite cup. Talking to Jules is great because he's very much in the camp. He knows everything that's going on with France. So I want to talk to him about that, and I'll use that clip later on in the week, perhaps on Monday when France play. But I also want to talk to him first about his experience of the Euros and his time in Berlin. Jules, how are you?
I'm good, Guillem, and you?
I'm all right. How is it going for you, these Euros?
It's been great. I won't lie. I've loved it so far. I'm based in Berlin, and from Berlin, I go to all the games I have to go for all the people I work for here, especially the France games, obviously, as you know. But it's been great to come back to Berlin. The energy in the city is great. The vibe is amazing, and the weather is here too. So I've had no problems with the trains. I know some people have had a few problems with the trains. I've had no problem to go into stadium and back out after to go to my hotels wherever I was staying. And some of the football I've seen live certainly has been good. Some not so good, obviously, like all of us, I guess. But even on television, I've just enjoyed everything so far. The surprises, the slightly underwhelming performances from some of the big teams, let's say, and some of the big players maybe. But I expect even everything to just raise a bit of a level now that we've got into the really serious stuff.
It sounds like you're enjoying yourself. Always full of energy, that big smile. It's attractive. You want to hear what you have to say. But where actually you saying it? I do know, but share it with the audience.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm here mostly for ESPN, which I write for the website. I've got this show with Gab Marcotti, our friend, twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, which is a TV show and a podcast. I do the main show, obviously, for them, the ESPN FC show from some of the studios we have here in Berlin. And then I also work for Optus in Australia on the game coverage. I've done 6 games or 7 games for them through the tournament, especially the 3 France games. I worked for 5 Live with you. We were together on Thursday night on the EuroLeague show, and I do the game coverage as well. This morning I was doing breakfast with Rick Edwards and Chris Warburton. So that's a lot of fun, and I do a lot of other things, for the French, especially French radio, French TV, all of that. I try to keep myself busy while I'm here, Guillem.
Yes.
But you've done it before us, so we're just following in your footpath,
Yeah. One thing that because I know you've got that much energy, you've probably been able to do something that doesn't have to do with football, but that you'll take as a big memory. What would that be, the non-football thing that you take from your time in Germany?
Well, my nephew, who's 18, who lives in Cheshire, came for 5 or 6 days at the start of the tournament. And to be fair, because he was in town and he was there with me, we did a lot of the sightseeing things that you would do in Berlin. I hadn't been back to Berlin since the World Cup in 2006, so it's a long time. And going to the Berlin Wall Memorial, for example, going to Checkpoint Charlie with him because he'd never been here was really special. And I remembered, obviously, some of it from when I came last and from all the history lessons from school and everything. But to be back here almost 18 years after the 06 World Cup was really special. And to go through it with him at 18, he was really interested, really curious of everything. And we did all that kind of museum that you could do, and we read everything, and he took it all on board. And it was great to see that next generation really being into this kind of historical city and historical moment, really. And because this is the thing that I guess we need to transmit to the younger generation, all of us. And that was really, really cool. And now my oldest son, is coming in a few days' time now with one of his friends for school. And I guess I will do it all again because I really want them to come here and not just go for the parties and not just go, for the football, not just go for the cool shops that they have here for sneakers or clothes. I also want them to get involved into what the city was after the Second World War, what it meant, what it represented. And I know it's something that you've talked about before as well. That is very, very important, I think, to all of us.
You're right. Berlin, it feels like, is a city where history's been made. or that are history in the making. It's just like reinventing itself constantly is a wonderful, wonderful part of the world. Jules, I owe you a meal, so we have to meet in Berlin, and
Yeah.
you can choose the restaurant.
Perfect.
Now, I'm thinking, because today is Italy, Switzerland.
Yeah.
If only we had an Italian expert to give me a hand with
You're
few
right.
things I need to find out about
That would be great.
Italy.
Hang on, let me see. Because here I feel in Berlin there's some sort of magical vibe in here sometimes. So I wonder if I do like an abracadabra,
Yeah,
for
go on.
example, and close my eyes and say like, imagine if I could make James Horncastle appear. Hey, look at this!
Amazing, amazing! Second time in the tournament that I need James, and James appears. It's just incredible. How'd you do that?
Here it is.
Wow.
I am the genie in the lamp.
I'm just like rub it. You said like scrub it, and then here you come. Boom! Amazing.
Magic. Now it's a good opportunity as we've just what would be the word got you from thin air to talk Italy, but out of more than the football that sometimes at point looks brilliant and other times I'm not really sure what you want to do. I'm being fascinated by Spalletti's press conferences.
Non è giusto, non è vero che io ho detto che non si può giocare alla PlayStation. Io ho detto non si può stare svegli fino alle 3 o alle 4 del mattino, che è un'altra cosa. Noi gli abbiamo creato una sala giochi dove ci sono 2 PlayStation bellissime, modernissime, di quelle dove tutti giocano, anzi anch'io ho giocato a... Ora lo posterò per far vedere che anch'io ho giocato.
And I don't think that's registered in, say, the Anglo-Saxon world, perhaps because some of it is difficult to explain and translate. But go ahead, just give us a look of what he's been saying, how he's been saying it, and why he's been saying it.
So, I mean, Spalletti is kind of famous for being quite agitated in press conferences. I mean, I remember one when he was at Roma where someone asked a question he didn't like and he literally bashed his head against the desk.
Ok, cominciamo bene.
So in that respect, not entirely surprising that he would find a moment to go on one of his big rants. But for example, after the 98th minute equalizer, Zaccagni scored against Croatia. Rather than happy, he just, in every interview he gave, he found something to have an issue with. So there was Fabio Capello in the Sky studio. He said, "You're a bit prudent, a bit cautious." And Spalletti was like, "What are you talking about, prudent? What are you on about, Fabio?" and then in the press conference, you know what it's like, Guillem. They say, "Anyone with any questions?" And initially, everyone was quite timid. And so this guy sort of raised his hand tentatively like this. And he said, "Oh, look, it was my impression that there was a pact between you and the players." And Spalletti just goes, "Pact? What are you on about? Pact? Has someone been leaking stuff to you from the Italy camp? Have the players been talking to you? Because if they have, well, that's poison, that is. And that's damaging the national team. But you know what? I use that poison. I inject it into my veins in order to get motivated for these games." And it's like, oh, wow. And then he has to call the journalist at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean what I said." But yeah, that's the kind of agitation, the irritation, the nervousness, that is the tension, I suppose, that is in the Italy camp at the moment.
I knew you were just going to bring it to us in a wonderful theatrical way, as Spalletti is himself. But he also mentioned this thing with, like, somebody asked him about, are you scared of losing, fear of losing? And he goes on about, "I've lost so many times in my life. Why would I be scared of that?" It's a wonderful approach, isn't it? But is he adding tension or the opposite? Is he adding calmness and taking all the responsibility himself? What is he doing?
Part of that "am I afraid" discourse also turned into an attack on journalists, where he was basically saying, if I was afraid, I'd be doing your job, because it's easy, to be critical from the stands. If I was afraid, I would buy a ticket to come and watch this game. Actually, I don't need to buy a ticket because I'm so famous, they'd give me one anyway. So again, this is his whole mentality. But look, I mean, I think Spalletti feels that he has only been in the job 9 months, but he's being judged as though he's been in it for, more than 2 years. Like someone who started the qualifiers rather than coming in halfway. And so he's been experimenting with the team right up until sort of March, where they had these friendlies in the US. He tried a back three in that, tried a back three again in one of their 2 warm-up games, and then played a back four against Albania, played a back four against Spain. And Guillem, I think you're responsible for the nervousness running through Spalletti, because I think after the Albania game, he was like, I found my team. This 4-3-3, Calafiori, Bastoni, sort of Barella, Jorginho, Fratesi, that's working. It's going to work. They're going to play the style of football that I want them to play. It's an ambitious style of football. Let's see how it works against Spain. It didn't work against Spain. They got ran over. And so the approach against Croatia, as Fabio Capello said, at times was quite tentative, was quite prudent, because you could see the players, they're still figuring things out. They're still figuring partnerships out across. It's not necessarily about system. It's about players knowing each other's tendencies and knowing when to go. And so I think the longer they go on in this tournament, if they go longer, they will get better. And Spalletti did say in yesterday's press conference here in Berlin, I expect the players to be more relaxed now. They're not thinking about this like we're in the group of death. They're not thinking about permutations. Oh, if we can't top the group, are we now going to finish third? Are we going to go out? They're not thinking about that anymore. Everything is much simpler. And so hopefully they will relax. But you know what Italy are like here.
Drama. I was at the press conference of Spalletti after Spain, and I tell you, his press conference, the whole of the press conference, it was quite long as well, as you tend to ask very long questions to start with, Italian journalist. We do as well. But I tell you, the whole press conference could be just briefed in this gesture. He just went the whole time going like, I just don't know. I don't know. He didn't know what had just happened.
Isn't it better for Italy to be in that kind of position? They almost went out for a few seconds. But in the sense that it's when we expect them the less, maybe, that they can produce something much better. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and I think they are trying to push that button mentally and psychologically right now. Donnarumma, the captain, the most experienced player in the squad in terms of caps, still only 25, was saying yesterday, everyone had written us off. They all thought we were going out even before the games actually started, because they saw this group of death of, Croatia have been to a World Cup final, Spain, who, even though Italy knocked them out 3 years ago on penalties, Spain dominated that game and should have gone through on the balance of play. And so I think they are trying to psychologically say, look, our backs are against the wall. This is actually when we bring out our best football. But they're also, I think, trying to, particularly with tonight's game, sort of drill into that inspiration that comes from playing at the Olympia Stadion, where they haven't played since 2006, the World Cup final
I knew that was
against
coming.
Jules' France.
I knew that was coming.
And, sat behind me yesterday in the press conference was none other than Gigi Buffon. Gigi Buffon has been brought along as this kind of hype man to motivate and essentially tell stories about 2006 to the players. And, they are hoping that, it's more psychological, I think, than actually finding out what the system is, what the best team is. I think it's about these players actually believing in themselves and coming together as a group. Because it does feel like this group has been thrown together. Some players were uncapped until the warm-up games. The majority of the squad have less than 15 caps. As I mentioned, most experienced player is still only 25, in terms of in Donnarumma. So it is a team that is still trying to find itself on the job in this tournament.
Right, it's 2 meals I owe now. I'm actually going to go, this is Raphael Honigstand's suggestion, to a restaurant that has got a Palestine owner and an Israeli chef. So if you want to come with me,
Perfect.
I'll sort that out. I'll get Rafa involved as well, and whoever is around, Gab or whoever, and we'll sort that out. Now, good luck for both of you games. Now, I think we could meet in the semi-finals, or it could be that the three of us are in the semi-finals. Is that right? France, Spain, and then Italy on the other draw. So if that happens, we have to do this again, yeah?
I know, for sure.
Course.
And if Austria go to the obviously other side, you know, the semi-final on the other side against Italy, then we could have all four of us, if we count Rafa and Austria together, all four of us in semi-finals.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Austria, Italy, Spain, France.
Perfect.
I'd say, yeah, those four are going to qualify to the quarters. Alongside England, they're going to get better. I've got no doubt that that's going to happen. Germany, they've got the enough quality for them to go into the next stage. Portugal have got so many layers. It's a team that is going to grow in the tournament, and the question will be with or without Cristiano Ronaldo in the lineup. We will see. And finally, I think Netherlands as well. Those will be the quarterfinals, then the semi-finals I mentioned, and it would be interesting to have Italy, Spain in the final, maybe? Anyway, more tomorrow. See you later.